Hey, real simple question. Real simple food for thought. Does Conor McGregor fight in 2023 or does Conor McGregor not fight in 2023, right? But what do you think? We were told by USADA, and this kind of blew around. It kind of depended on who was writing the article. But we are currently under the understanding that when Conor McGregor returns to the testing pool, he will have to wait 6 months. That is the most current writing. I have a different interpretation. I do not agree with that. However, that's not the debate I want to have. The current belief within our industry is that when Conor returns to the pool, he will have 6 months. Well, I just changed the question, didn't I? I started out by asking you, is Conor going to fight in the next 12 months? That's what I started out by asking you, but then I threw you a curveball and let you know 6 of them are already burned. So your answer to yes to 2023 just got cut in half. However strong you were on that idea, it got cut in half. And we have not even been told that he has entered the pool. I feel as though that's news that we probably would be told. That we probably would be told, and we would be told quickly. The last time Conor spoke about it, he said, I'll be ready to enter the pool by February. If he enters the pool by February, right, I mean, you guys can do the math. You understand that's the second month of the year. You understand it's 6 months. Now we're damn near to winter. Just to see if you can get him booked. It's an interesting question. And the reason it's interesting, again, I don't want to digress into the rules. I personally do not think that the understanding the MMA media put out, I don't think they understood it correctly. You got to understand one thing. If he does not fight in 2023, there's no point in fighting. I mean, now we're just being reckless. Now we're just being dangerous, right? We're always going to use history as the greatest trajectory to the future. There is nothing historic in fighting that would tell you it's a good idea to bring a guy back with that kind of a laid-off. Not to mention, he happens to be a member of the most difficult division in our sport. So there's nothing about that that's wise. That doesn't mean that we won't do it. I understand that. But there has been one exception to some of these rules. That's been Jon Jones. Jon Jones broken all sorts of rules. All sorts of things that would apply to the normal man have not applied to him. And his clock might be ticking, but it's not speculative with Conor. Right? It's speculative with Jon. A guy can't take 3 years off and come to a division that he's never been in and have any success. Well, time out. Time out. Let Jon have, right? Time out before we make that statement, but it's not speculative with Conor. We've already done this. We've already taken a break with Conor. We already saw a layoff. That was the return. That was Abu Dhabi. That was Fight Island. That was opposite Dustin Poirier. For the first fight in the new feud, but the second fight overall. And it wasn't good. It was normal. It was very normal. Conor has done exceptional things. That return and that night was normal. The pacing and the speed were different. The effort that fight was going to require versus the effort that it had already required because Conor had already done it before, they were different. There was a lot of things that would lead to a problem. The fact that it was booked for 5 rounds. If there was anything that could have made that night different, by the way, it wasn't that it wasn't a comeback fight. It wasn't that he didn't have his family there with him. It wasn't that he did it 155 pounds. It was that it shouldn't have been a 5-round contest. I mean, I'm just sharing for you, right? Like, that's not the way the game is played. If you're the main event, you go 5 rounds. But Conor, with the layoff and return, if you could go back to that night and he could have made it 3 rounds, you not only could expect a different outcome, you very likely would have had one. Now, I don't go down that road to digress something. I go down that road because when Conor returns, if it's not in 2023, you're talking about it's come out in 2024 and he's going to go into a 5-round situation. Like, the human body can't do that. There's not exceptions to the rule. The cardio that you would need, the attempt of intensity and training that you would need cannot be obtained in a camp. It just can't. You don't hear good fighters going into camps, right? The guys that you respect, the guys that stick around, the guys that your son has a figurine of or chooses to play in the video games, don't do camps. They work out all the time. They're training nonstop because you have to be able to go 5 rounds, which is what you have to do if you're a main event and or a championship fighter. I'm just sharing with you, it's very different. It cannot be obtained in a camp. But it's a situation that Conor would have to walk into. He would have to walk into an environment that is up to 5 rounds. The point I'm attempting to make for you, if it doesn't happen in 2023, it should not happen. Now, even regardless of the math that I've laid out in a 2023, and we cut it right in half, I'm very confident he fights in 2023. I'm also very confident that Conor McGregor agrees with me. Hey, man, if I don't fight in 2023, call it good. I ain't coming back in 2024. I think that Conor would agree with me. I think that he would concede that point. I know he would agree with me talking about the training camp and what it takes and the 5-round atmosphere, pulling weight for that after not doing it for a while. I mean, I know that Conor would agree with me in several things, but I want to know what you think. And he's the one guy where the weight class doesn't have to be determined. He's the one guy where the opponent, and I mean the one guy, where the opponent doesn't have to be determined. So it looks as though you got a pretty easy job in front of you. Looks as though you got a pretty easy job of getting this guy licensed. It's something that he says that he wants to do. Not a man alive would turn down that opportunity. It seems like a pretty easy deal to get done. Do you think it gets done? Do you think it gets done in 2023? Will you at least agree with me and meet me halfway? If it doesn't get done this year, we need to stop with the subject.